This video will contain spoilers to up to Chapter 7, Price of a Star. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to another video from me about the world of Stella Sora. You know, this game has been very interesting so far. To get someone like me and be able to like jump back in, have all these ideas jumbled up in my mind, and well, I guess I am back talking about the world more. And the topic of today's discussion is, well, in the recent chapter of Stella Sora, the main chapter, after the whole monolith betting issue, the whole trying to bid our way into gaining the monolith for United Harvest Fillet Branch, the Tyrant ended up getting shot. And well, that just gets me thinking, because I feel like at that point, with the whole final talk from Serena about the whole deal about why she did all this, be able to get back out on the Tyrant, very interesting, but that just makes me think we might be getting into Tyrant lore. And well, all the story, everything has just been about the world so far, inside the world right now, but I feel like after this we're finally going to get into the whole deal with the Tyrant. Just who are they, what are they, and what do they mean for the wider world of Stella Sora? So this is very interesting because you don't know a lot. There's probably some small stuff you can find throughout the game here and there, probably in the disc, some optional dialogue, but after reading through everything, getting to make my own theories, it's just pretty interesting about what I'm trying to see what this Tyrant is. So let's just start from the beginning, and well, what we know about the Tyrant beforehand, all the past stuff. And really, there really isn't anything we really know about the Tyrant. All we're really told is that there's this old legend of a person trying to take over every single monolith from Nova, which required all these other groups to come up together, take them out, and sooner or later the Tyrant disappeared along with their control on the monolith. They had the ability of soul snatching, they could control people's minds, all that type of stuff. Basically, the story presented themselves as this very evil person who wants to take over the world. And what do we see in the modern day Tyrant? Well, none of that really. The Tyrant is a generally happy-go-lucky, friendly person who sees the good in a lot of people, who just wants to help people. And they travel with New Star Guild because even if they don't have any memories, they still want to help their friends. They view them as friends. They view a lot of people as friends. And even their whole power about, well, the ability to like take someone's soul for a wish and all the other cheats that they have, they still don't like abusing that power. They still don't like feeling like this great person that the Vita, the phone, want them to be. So it's very interesting. So the Tyrant, what we know of today, does not match the Tyrant of the past. We also know that something happened to the Tyrant of the past that made them lose per se. Their supporter, who keeps telling them their final words were, "Don't become that star once more before the Tyrant goes under." What do they mean by that? We just don't know. It's not super complicated. All we know is that something happened to the Tyrant in the past, something that made them get into that coffin. Then they were only awakened after New Star Guild, woken up. So yeah, we also know a bit about the Tyrant in the book that Darcia had, the one that she fell in love with, the one that is able to like be the strongest thing ever and controlled every single monolith ever. And that's what she did in that bad ending. She was in love with the Tyrant so much about how they were able to take back from all those evil companies, and she wanted to do the same with the modern day Tyrant. So, and that book we did see again in this final chapter when we pretended to be the one-armed saint going into that monolith, getting that final prize. It's all interesting, which just leads us to, well, I guess what we found out in chapter 7, in which Serena helps us throughout our entire way getting to that monolith and saying how we were like the one-armed saint doing all this, climbing the monolith to fight that final boss or to stop the rains, all that business. And also we learned that Tyrant is the only one who has some type of knowledge. What I mean by that knowledge is that during the game of chapter 7 about the final groups who want to get over the monolith, we were supposed to wish up something able to shoot without magic. A lot of the other characters in the story, they had no idea what they were talking about. What is the Grace Imperium doing? What do you mean something that's able to shoot without magic? Only the Tyrant was able to figure out that it's not just like a regular gun, and none of the other characters understood. Like gunpowder to shoot metal bullets? That's crazy. You just use magic for that. I guess that just shows how the Tyrant is just something else. And well, also throughout in the bad endings, like, and also what Vita wants for us, what the devils on the monolith wants for us, they know a lot more than we do, but a lot of that stuff is hidden away. Even the stuff about the White Room, nobody knows what the White Room is, nobody knows what the monolith is. We know it's probably connected, but what does that mean that the Tyrant has information that no one else is able to conjure of? Like, I don't think it's hard to think about a gun. I don't know, but Serena loves it so much that she tests it out. At first glance, she shoots us. And speaking of that final conversation with her, she revealed herself to be this person to why she was following us along. She was trying to find out if we really are the Tyrant, and if we really are getting that same bane that the world had to fight off. And she decided that, you know, the Tyrant can revive every 100,000 years. So what if we kill them with something not of this world? Would that end the cycle? So that's why she made us wish for the gun. And I don't know. I'm just yapping right now, but Serena's whole final conversation about she was watching over the Tyrant, making sure like are they the same as the one in the past. It's all very interesting because she thinks she figured out that the Tyrant is the Tyrant, but are they really the Tyrant? Because the whole monolith issue, we learned that in this chapter that certain conditions had to be made in order for us to get to that final floor, fight that final boss, and get that final wishing box. And we were also told that somehow New Star Guild fulfills some conditions that awoken the Tyrants. We don't know what these conditions are. We don't know how or why. It's just because those characters look the same as whatever characters in the past. Because people were making theories that Iris, Amber, and Noya all had some relationship with some old legend. But we don't know. We just don't know. And what about the Bayern? People of Nocturne Eterna. They want the monoliths for something. Is it due to their god? Is it due to this past allegiance to the Tyrant? We just don't know. But all that yapping stuff, that's all the past. That's all the stuff that we know right now. And well, all this came to me to realize that, because like all this stuff that I'm learning about in the past, I take this information, I take information from other games that I played, look at the world of Stella Sora, and well, I got a pretty crazy theory that it might be true, it might be not, who knows. So, in one of the bad endings of this chapter, where we submit ourselves basically to United Harvest, get ourselves more into debt, and tie ourselves more into the company, we decided to lay low, take our time, and win that civil war, right? So much so that Prize really changed. Because beforehand, in the main story, they told us that they had a wish for like a gun, basically. But in this bad ending, the thing they were supposed to wish for to win the monolith bidding was a box. And in this bad ending, it seems that Serena put a plush doll of the Tyrant inside of this invisible box, and she keeps talking about how the Tyrant isn't the Tyrant. She only talks about it in this chapter. What did we do in this bad ending that's different from what we did in the main story? And I will say that we tied ourselves to United Harvest so hard that we couldn't really leave out and help New Star Guild find the orphanage. We decided to be the corporate billionaires that, much like everyone else, because it makes me realize this story is much like the city in Project Moon, where corporations control everything, where everything comes down to how much money you have, how much money, goals, aspirations, everything is tied to companies, money, economics, all that stuff. The tippy top of the world are CEOs, are all those executives, all that. Even the Great Superium, who's supposed to be like a religious organization, they are just a company. And recently with the Firefly event, we were told that there's groups inside the Great Superium who all they care about is money, funding, all that stuff. They're not really good people. And in Project Moon, all these corporations work in tandem with each other because, well, that's just how the world is. And people are, you know, they don't care as much. There's not like revolutions in Project Moon, maybe in future Limbus, but a lot of people suck up to their fate, like Roland is. This is this and that is that. That is that, this and this. The world of Project Moon is sad, desolate, lonely, that you can always just submit to the companies, and that's how life moves on. So what if it's something similar in Stella Sora? In Stella Sora, why would the Tyrant be this big feared figure? And then that brings me to what we hear during Gary. In her short story that we got recently, she kept talking about all the good small stuff that the Tyrant has done that ups their points to become a heretic. We thought she was just joking, like, oh, sharing your friends, looking out for your friends, being a good person, that's all Tyrant points, haha. But then in the end, we were told that she was being truthful about that. So where am I getting at is very simple. Darcia was wrong about what the Tyrant is. The Tyrant isn't this great feared figure who wants to take over the entire world through force, through strength. The Tyrant is a liberator. A Tyrant is a person for the people. A Tyrant is someone beyond outside of this late stage capitalism. The Tyrant is a good person, and that's why the world hates them. I know it's pretty crazy, but that's where I'm getting at. That's my thesis right there. The reason why the Tyrant is so feared is because they're not a businessman. It's because they don't see the world through this black and white, through gold. They're a person who wants to help the common man. They're a person who wants to do the best for the weakest. Tai Nezuka saw them as the one-armed saint, somebody who sacrifices themselves for the people. That's why the Tyrant makes it so that before they takes anyone's wishes or soul, something equivalent must be made in tandem. They make sure that whoever's in their group also gets their happy ending, also be happy. So why would the other companies hate them? Because that threatens their order. That threatens the social order of the entire world of Nova. A person who does the right thing for no economic need, nothing like that, that's interesting. And I guess them wanting to take over all the monoliths was being able to release the monoliths for the people of the world, because we heard that a lot of monoliths are controlled by companies and the Great Superium. So somebody taking them over and letting anybody be able to use them freely, that's a scary thing for the CEOs. That's a scary thing for the businesses. So I guess that's why in that bad ending in chapter 7, where Serena basically goes a bit mad about how the Tyrant isn't a tyrant, was because we tied ourselves with United Harvest. We decided to play a role as a CEO, as an executive of a company, thus not breaking any cycle, thus not changing the world at all. We just became another pawn in the wider game of capitalism, a wider game of politics. So what's with all the deal? Why are they called the Tyrant? Because they're a threat to the world. Why wouldn't they slander this person wanting to free the common man? Why wouldn't they slander this person wanting to help out the poor, the meek, with nothing, to get nothing back? Because the second people start waking up, second people start realizing that they shouldn't rely on the companies themselves and the companies only, that's what threatens the company. That's what threatens the world. Like, it's also interesting. Even we saw that in this chapter as well, where I forgot her name, I'm forgetting her name, but like she had this whole conversation how a lot of these people were sick because they were rather appear themselves to be rich, or rather spend their money getting trinkets and stuff, or rather just stuck in the same cycle of money, greed, not caring about medicines, rather save up money, skipping meals, all of that, because they will only get their stuff if it's from a company. They view that if it's a company will come from their village and the village become prosperous, not by people helping each other, but through the business, by through billionaires. And we've seen that every single time where the companies, they just control everything. They're like Project Moon, like I said before. So the Tyrant is this liberator. The Tyrant is this one-armed saint who does stuff out of the goodness of their own heart and not through the eyes of corporations, not through the eyes of business, not through the eyes of investment. They're a good person, and that's what these companies fear the most. So in this final take, Serena shoots us to end the fear of the Tyrant, to end a person that could to upend the entire system. I mean, you could say that the Tyrant is a communist or something like that. I don't know, but it's all very interesting. And if I am right about that's the truth of the Tyrant, a person able to change fate of the entire world, to stop the businesses from keeping their total control over everything, is that what they meant by not to become a star? Was the Tyrant a political leader in the past so big that became the most wanted person in the entire world? I don't know. Then what's the White Room? And what's the monolith? What's everything else? What are the Archons? Is the Tyrant really the Tyrant? Is the Tyrant only the Tyrant when they want to break the cycle, but they're not the Tyrant when they continue the cycle? It's all very interesting. But that's really it. To finalize what I'm trying to say, the Tyrant is like the one-armed saint. The Tyrant is a good person. Them being a good person outside of the system that the corporations, that the CEOs make, that's what makes them so feared. Will I think that's what we're gonna see in the future? I don't know. What I'm thinking right now could just be dropped as a dumb theory, but if it does go down that path, it'll be very, very interesting. So who and what is the Tyrant? We'll see in the future. So yeah, just a short video right now. I want to say thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching, and I hope, you know, more interesting stuff appear in the future. More Stella Sora video aheads, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about it. So I don't know. We will see the Tyrant later. Will they continue their fate, or will they break it? We just don't know. Goodbye.